right, hey guys, how we doing today? Hopefully you're pretty recovered after your workout this morning with Kristen. Today, for your bonus feature, I am going to be going over handstands. Excuse me. How to get into handstand positions, proper handstand position, different ways you can train your handstand position at home. That's going to be very important since we might be home for a while. You guys can also comment in with questions that you have about handstands. I'll leave about 5 minutes at the end to answer questions, like a little Q&A type thing. But yeah, we'll give people another minute or so to hop on, and then we'll get started. If I'm rambling a lot, just shoot me a message that says, hey, shut up and do more so we can see you. Yeah, if nobody's, we got 3 people on. Cool. All right, guys, we ready to get started with handstands? One of the most overlooked ways to train your handstand, in my opinion, is actually just standing straight up and down. Like, you can get a lot of good handstand work by just being being right side up and training your handstand position. Cool. So what I want you guys to do right now is go ahead and, there we go. That's much better. All right. What I want you guys to do right now is go ahead and stand up. And you can't see my face anymore, so let's lean that back. All right, so stand up nice and tall. And I'm first going to put you in a bad position so then we can learn what a good position is supposed to feel like. Cool. So if you see here, natural curve of my spine here, I want you to go ahead and rotate your hips until that curve is overly exaggerated and you have a deep curve in your spine. So this is a terrible position. This is a position I never want you to be in for your handstands. Cool. Go ahead and rotate those hips back under and then squeeze your glutes nice and tight. So this is where we want to be for our handstands, especially in our midline. That's going to keep us nice and tight and keep our body stable when we're upside down. So just working on that rotation right there is one of the first keys to having a fantastic handstand. Cool. Excuse me. From there, we need to definitely assess our overhead mobility. Because if we don't have proper overhead mobility, it's going to be hard to stack into a good handstand and stay up for very long. Thank you, Kristen. You guys probably recognize the background from earlier, from the workout earlier. I'm hanging out with Kristen. But let's jump back into handstands. So like I said, we want to make sure we have proper mobility to get our hands into the right position so that we're stacked on top of our shoulder. If we're even slightly here, it's going to be 10 times harder to hold that handstand. Cool. And it all starts with maintaining that posture from here to here, staying nice and stacked. Cool. From there, what we're going to do is, I'm going to use weights because they have a ton of weights here, but you guys can do this with anything. You can use a stack of books. You can grab a book bag and load some load some items in there and hold it over your head. Any of the things that Zach talked about yesterday that you can hold over your head, you pretty much can do for this drill. So I'm going to grab this here, and all you're going to do is press it up over your head. Stand here, press it up over your head, and then make sure your body is in that nice tight position that we talked about earlier. So you're not arching here. Your item isn't over your face, it's directly over your head, and you're squeezing your glutes, squeezing your abs, pressing all the way through. So you're not relaxing your shoulders here, you're pressing all the way through to the top as hard as you can. So, I'm not 100% sure what that drill is actually called, but that is a great way to train your handstands without beating up your joints like your elbows and your wrists. You don't have to have a whole lot of weight to train that. And if you guys actually get into that position and feel how much tension is going through your body, you'll realize that it is a very difficult position, even though it doesn't look like you're doing a lot. Cool. All right, guys. So next what we have is called a body tensioner. I learned this from Dave Durante. And it's basically a handstand, but you're on a horizontal plane. So you're going to get into that same position that we were just in, making sure you're pressing all the way through your shoulders, making sure your body is nice and tight, but you're going to be on the floor. And the floor is going to hold your body, so you don't have to worry about holding your body weight. Again, you don't have to worry about the stress on your shoulders or your elbows or your wrists. So this is great to train your handstands without putting all that added pressure on you. Cool. I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll do some holds together. Cool. So over here, I just have a box, but you guys can do this on a wall, preferably a wall, so that the wall doesn't move. If you use a table or something like that, you might be sliding your table across the floor. But yeah, the most simple way is just to use a wall. Cool. So what I'm going to do here is place my hands about 3 inches up from the floor and press into your box or your wall as hard as you can. From there, you're going to get into that nice tight handstand position that we talked about before. So press in. Cool. So it's the same thing we were doing when we had that object over our head, but now you're actually using more tension throughout your body because you want to make sure you're squeezing your heels together, your butt is squeezed, you're using your adductors, you're using all of your muscles to stay as tight as possible, which is why it's called a body tensioner. Cool. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do 4 sets of a 10-second hold and then a 10-second rest. And I want you guys to really focus on maintaining that position with your hips. So again, we don't want to be here with our butt poking out. We want to tuck those hips under, one straight line all the way through our body. And then we want to make sure we are pressing all the way up through our shoulders. We're not relaxed here. Cool. So we're going to do 4 sets of a 10-second hold. I'll count you off, and then 10 seconds of rest. Ready? Go ahead and find your wall. So we're going in 3, 2, 1, and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. So hopefully you guys felt how tight your body has to be in that position. We're going to go ahead and start our second set. Ready? Hands up and press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And relax. So after 2 seconds, your abs and your glutes should be screaming a little bit, and your shoulders should be on fire. We're going to go ahead and knock out our third set. Ready? Hands up on that box and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. So at this point, you should definitely be breaking a sweat. My abs are screaming a little bit, and shoulders are really starting to feel it. So we're going to get this last set in and see how we feel after that. Ready? Last one. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. All right, good job, guys. Oh, man. So, as you should be able to feel, it takes a ton of tension throughout your core, throughout your legs, throughout your shoulders and your back to be able to maintain that position even on a horizontal surface. Cool. So that's what we want to focus on when we're in our handstands. We want to focus on creating that tension. That way our body doesn't immediately collapse as soon as we kick up into our handstand. So those are 2 fantastic ways that you can train your handstand without putting a lot of stress on your joints, and excuse me. And also you can focus on the position and build strength in the position without worrying about having to fall on your face every time you kick up. Cool? All right, guys, so we're going to kick it up a notch and actually get inverted now. But we're going to start out with a pike. You can do this off a chair, like Zach was talking about yesterday. You can do this off a chair or your couch, and you can do this pretty much anywhere you have a chair or a couch. All right, so I'm going to use this box here because that's very convenient. But the main thing you want to focus on with your pike from a box, chair, couch, whatever you have, is to maintain the same positions that you were in when you were doing your tensioners, pressing all the way through your shoulders. Sometimes when we use this as a scale for our handstand push-ups, we're repping them out so fast that we forget that the lockout is all the way here in a more vertical position. The rep does not stop here. We want to push all the way back until we're nice and tall. Cool. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to show you, and then I'll talk about a few things that I want you to think about while you're upside down on that box. All right. All right, so a couple things that I am focused on when I'm in that pike position is, one, I want to be as far up onto my toes as possible. So if you look at your foot, you have the ball of your foot here. You guys can see that? And then your toes are actually this part up here. So I know sometimes when we say go up on your toes, most of you guys are going up on this part of your foot, but that's actually the ball of your foot. I want to get on top of my toes as much as possible. That way I have as much body weight over my shoulders as I can get. That's going to make you stronger. Excuse me. And that's also going to provide you with a better handstand position, because then you don't have that rounded curve at the top with your hips. Your hips are stacked nice and top over your shoulders. Does that make sense? All right, guys. While I'm going through this, if you guys have any questions, definitely go ahead and comment in. I can see the comments, so I can go ahead and answer your questions in real time. You don't have to wait till after the video or anything like that. Cool? All right, guys. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a 10-second hold in that pike position. We're going to take a 20-second rest because that's a very difficult position to hold. And then we're going to do another 10-second hold. Cool? And then we'll kind of talk about some of the things that you guys should be feeling when you're in those positions. All right, let's get to it. One important thing I do want to add, this might seem like a no-brainer, but you want to make sure your hands are on the floor first before you kick your feet up onto the box. I've seen some people approach the box from here and kind of crawl over the box. And I guess that's okay if you trust yourself that much, but if you're not ready for all that weight hitting your hands, and your feet are up here already, you could fall forward and crack your face open. So let's not do that. Right, so we're going to do a 10-second hold, 20-second break, then another 10-second hold. Ready? Go ahead and get into your handstand position, pressing through the floor. Get up on those toes as much as you can. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Whew. So we're going to take a 20-second rest, and then I'll jump up there again. But one thing you should already be feeling is probably a little bit of stretch in your hamstrings. If you have tight hamstrings like I do, probably feeling those hamstrings stretching out. You might feel some stretch in your back, what's commonly referred to as your T-spine, because of the angle that you're trying to create, which is a good thing. Cool. I think that 20 seconds is up, though, so we got to get another one. So, ready? In that nice tight pike position and press all the way into the floor. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Woo! All right, so like I was saying before, in that nice tight pike position, you're gonna feel some stretch in your upper back, and that is a good thing. That is gonna help your overhead mobility, especially if that's something that you struggle with. Cool? All right, pikes are great because you can eliminate the body weight of your legs while still working on your handstand. So we're still not getting the full weight of our whole body on our hands just yet, but we're still building strength in good positions and working on our mobility. So those two things are going to be super important when you're working on your handstands. Cool. All right, guys. The next version up from the pike is just going to be a pike with one leg extended. And this one is going to require a lot of flexibility, maybe even a little flexibility that I personally don't have, but I'm going to do my best to demo that for you. Cool. So the reason why we lift one leg is just to add a little bit more body weight, but to also start to simulate your full handstand. So now we're trying to get into basically a pseudo full handstand to feel what that feels like without having all of our body weight. And we can be a little bit more stable by having 1 foot on the box and 1 foot up. Cool. One caveat with this is make sure you have the strength to actually get that leg in the air and hold your body there before you start practicing this version. If the last version felt really shaky and really wobbly by the time you got to that 10-second, probably don't move on to this version just yet. Probably build strength in that last pike push-up and then move on to this one once you build up that strength. Ooh. Nobody falling on their face today. So again, I will show you what that looks like, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the things that you should be feeling or the positions that you should be trying to achieve. All right. So you're going to get into that same pike push-up, or excuse me, pike position, pike handstand position here, with your hips nice and high. Try and get your hands as close to underneath your shoulders as possible. Once you're here, you're going to lock out your leg and get as vertical as you can. If you need to bend this leg a little bit, that's okay. If you need to bend the leg that's on the box a little bit to relieve some of that hamstring stretch, that's okay. We all don't have super flexible hamstrings, myself included. So if you need to bend that knee, that's okay. As long as you're not twisting your hips as you're bringing that leg up. We want to make sure our hips stay square. Bring that foot up, try and get it as close to over your shoulders as you can. Not really sure how close I was, but hopefully I was close enough. Excuse me. As close to over your hips as possible. So ankles over knee, over hips, over shoulders, over your wrist. So one be stacked and one straight line. So you guys can definitely try that out at home. Tell me how that went for you. I'm going to go ahead and switch to outside real quick, because the last thing we're going to do is going to be, or the last couple of things we're going to do is actually going to be on the wall. Cool. Follow me. Let's see. Whew. It is bright out here. All right, so next thing we're going to do is basically a body tensioner, but you're only going to go halfway up on the wall. So you're not going to go into a full position, a full handstand position just yet, because I want you guys to start practicing your handstands facing in towards the wall instead of facing out. A couple of reasons for that. The main reason is just so that you can have a better handstand position. When you kick up like you're doing a handstand push-up, that's not a terrible position, but your body naturally has to arch back towards the wall instead of staying nice and straight and in one line. Cool. So we want to try and eliminate as much of that arch as possible by having you face the wall and getting into a better handstand position. Cool. So you're actually going to walk your feet about halfway up the wall, and then you're going to try and get into an extended plank as much as you can. Actually, I'm going to show you guys how to get into an extended plank. And this is something that we can all do together. And this is a great drill to teach you creating how to create tension throughout your entire body. So real quick, just the extended plank. You're going to start here with your wrists underneath your shoulders. You're going to get into a hollow plank, so hollow out your body here, making sure you have that tension throughout your midline. Then from there, walk your hands out in front of you as far as you can. And this is going to be your extended plank. So your arms are nice and long. And you have tension throughout your entire body. Cool. So we're basically going to do that exact same thing, but we're going to do it with our feet about halfway up the wall. Cool. All right, I'll show you what that looks like. Then I want to give you a few tips on how you can maximize that position. All right, so it's that same position that we created on the floor with the extended plank, but your feet are now on the wall. So a couple of things you want to focus on there, same things that we have been talking about, is pressing all the way through, making sure our shoulders are fully engaged, maintaining that nice tight hollow body position. So not tucked back here with our butt out. Want to be nice and engaged through our glutes, through our core, one straight line. And then the last thing is actually our legs. You want to make sure your legs are together, because if your feet are together, you can create more tension through your legs. Sometimes you'll see people do handstand push-ups or handstand walks, and their legs are flared out like a V. It's not a terrible position. I just wouldn't learn that way, because it doesn't transfer over to a whole lot of things. It doesn't build a lot of foundational strength and things like that. Most of those guys have been doing handstands for years, or super strong and things like that, so they can get away with being in non-optimal positions and still get the work done. So for most of us that are just learning, we want to make sure we get into the most optimal position that we can, so that we can build the most strength that we can as quickly as we can, and then we can get into doing some of those other versions strategically throughout our workouts or things like that. Cool. So we want strict form, right form first, and then once we get super strong, then we can do whatever we want to do. Cool. Last but certainly not least is getting as close to that wall as possible and trying to simulate as much of a handstand as we can. Cool. I'm gonna tilt that back up so you can see my whole body. And we're gonna do a couple handstand holds. We'll do a 10-second hold. I'll come down, and then we'll do another 10-second hold. Cool. And then we'll have a little bit of time to answer any questions that you guys have about handstands, or you can just listen to me ramble about handstands for a good 5-10 minutes. Cool. All right, guys, get over to your walls. We're gonna do one wall walk, so go ahead and wall walk up that wall. Again, push all the way up. Point your toes, squeeze your legs. And come back down. Under control. So the most important thing there is coming back down under control. A lot of people, you'll see them do their wall walks. They walk all the way up, they do their hold, and then on the way down, they kind of just slide and worm their way down the wall. One, that's just not very safe. You can really end up jacking up your shoulders or falling on your head, jacking up your neck, things like that, jacking up your wrists. So we will always want to make sure we're in control whenever we're moving, but especially when you're upside down and you're more vulnerable to gravity. So definitely come down with as much control as you possibly can. Cool. We're going to get one more handstand, and then I will talk about some other drills and things that you guys can do at home, and then I'll take some questions. Cool. All right, let's get one more. All right, guys, go ahead and hit your wall walk. All right, guys. So that is some things for handstands that you can work on at home. As long as you have a wall, you pretty much can train your handstands. Again, handstands are great for shoulder strength, shoulder mobility, and just the longevity overall of your shoulders. So handstands are probably one of my favorite things to work on, especially for shoulders. It's just really good for stability. It's really good for everything. So definitely keep working on your handstands. Again, guys, if you guys have questions about anything, just go ahead and put them in the comment section. I can answer them in real time right now. So definitely shout me out. A couple other things that you can work on for your handstands is just anything that's going to work shoulder stability. So just literally just holding heavy weight over your head will make your shoulders a lot more stable. So just grab a gallon of water or something like that by the handle, kind of grab it like it's a kettlebell and holding it over your head. Holding it over your head like so, and maybe walking 20, 30 meters. That will start to help your shoulder stability. Might even help your shoulder mobility a little bit and start getting you into a better handstand position, especially for those guys that are stuck out here and can't quite get back to that 180 degree angle. Oh, I forgot the very most important part of working on your handstand. So guys, this is a ancient secret that only like real gymnasts know. And this will have you go from probably holding a 5-second handstand to holding a 15-second handstand in a matter of seconds. Cool. So I'm going to show you what it is, and then we're going to talk about it real quick. Ready? I got to lean this down a little bit first. So first what you got to do, sit on the floor, and then untie your laces, take your shoes off. And that's it. So training your handstand without your shoes on, one, for me personally, it helps me feel through the position a little bit better when I don't have my shoes on. I know it wasn't some amazing trick, but there is a difference when you're training your handstands with your shoes on as opposed to without your shoes on. For me, it helps with mobility. Like I said, it helps me feel through the position a little bit better because I can actually feel my feet squeezing together. I can feel my legs a little bit more activated as opposed to having my shoes on. Not to mention, it's not a lot of weight, but it does make your handstands a little bit heavier. All the gymnasts that I know always train without their shoes on, so I figured it's a good idea for me too. Cool. That was just a silly joke, but if you do take your shoes off, it may help get into some of these positions a little bit better. Cool. All right, guys. If there are no questions, I will go ahead and sign off, but make sure you guys are keeping up with everything in Box Tribe. Make sure you're definitely putting in your scores in for the workouts every day. That helps us stay together more as a community. We definitely want to keep you guys as involved as we can. We want to make sure you guys are doing all right. We want you guys to make sure that we're doing all right. And we just want this family to stay together as much as we can. Cool, guys? All right. Until next time, I think our next workout is at 2 p.m. So we will see you guys then. All right. Have a great day, guys. Just kidding. I'm going to talk for 10 more minutes.